there now because Sal is on, and there's Sal's face down there on the YouTube. I'm not looking at the Twitch, but G had the pic scrolling during the commercial break there. So.
I love that. Remember when
job,
the
G.
scroll was really only for important things in life?
Yes.
Now something is always has to be breaking. Like they just could not ever have that.
Yeah.
It has to be something, whatever it is, even if it's a celebrity, a breakup.
Yep.
It has to be up there.
And
breaking. Breaking.
The worst for me with the scroll is this happens during hockey season if I'm watching a national broadcast. And I see something, but I see the end of it. So I don't have it, but it seems interesting to me. I want to know what this is, right? Injury or contract, whatever, right? I see something, and then the scroll, you gotta wait for it to come back. When you don't know where in the chain it is, and of course, like most normal people, I'm not just staring at the TV. Usually, I've got my iPad or I'm playing a guitar or something. I'm doing something else, and I get in these loops where I look up and it's like there it is again.
You
the
missed
tail
it.
end of the thing, the wild forward, blah, 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 whatever. Like I hate when that happens. There's got to be who's the guy that had the book? Rich Sniglet, the SNL guy.
Look at this.
Made up words.
That would be Rich Hall.
Rich Hall, Sniglets. I need a Sniglet for when I see a piece of information on the crawl on the TV, and then 10 minutes later I see the same bit, but I still don't have the whole story, and I'm waiting. Oh, now it's a commercial. Oh, I hate
Sal,
that.
how do you like this poll? Sniglets from Bulldog.
Oh, my God, I love it. I love Sniglets. Oh, my God, that's amazing. That was on that HBO show. What was the HBO show called? I can't remember.
It was called Not Necessarily the News.
Yes, Rich Hall Sniglets. And I don't remember a lot of the words.
No.
But one was like the act of people combing over their hair over their bald spot, right? There was one. The one I remember, too, I was laughing. I'm like, oh, my God, everybody does this. It was like looking in the mailbox and like peeking, even though nothing's in there, and then you look in and then you shut it, but then you go back and look again or something. You do a double take even though there's nothing there. Like little things like that. That is a great poll. I love that. I feel old sometimes because we talk to some of the people we work with and they're younger, and you just made me feel so young right now.
Good, I'm here for you.
I think I remember one, and the word or the sniglet was Cheetle, which is the orange residue on your fingers when you're eating Cheetos.
That's good.
I think Cheetle was his word for that.
Somewhere there's got to be. So you know what's going to happen tonight now. I am going to look up Sniglets online. There's got to be like a website of Sniglets and a dictionary.
There's probably a whole – maybe there's a Wikipedia page with all of them. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad I made you smile.
So, Fridays, Extra Point, then you're talking to Sean McDermott, and you got the injury update there firsthand this morning. I don't know what your instincts might be if you have them on Milano or Oliver. He didn't rule them out, though, Sal.
He didn't, and practice today again, all limited, and we'll see. You still have a couple days here, and as much as it might look like on a video, like Wednesday or Thursday, oh, this guy's not moving great or something like that. We talked about those interpretations. You still have time. You're still 5 days away from a game, and then 4 days, and you're still here now 2 days away from a game, and at night. So I think it's very possible any of these guys play, and I certainly think I will say that. I think Matt Milano, to me, has trended in a very good direction from what I saw. And that's not even like movement. What I'm just saying is what he's doing, which is tackling a bag, doing a gator roll, going down to the ground, up-thudding, all of that. Those are things that when you have a pec injury, you're not doing unless you're completely healthy, I think, or at least people are very confident that you can do all those things without re-injuring. So I think that sounds good. Spencer Brown, Jackson Hawes never seemed to me like they would be in any danger, and obviously Jackson Hawes, I think, is off the injury report now anyway.
Yeah, he's full. He practiced full today. Yeah.
There you go. So then, Oliver's the one though. That pushing off that ankle, he was limping pretty good last week when we saw him. But you have a few more days here that he can get ready, and we'll see if he's going to be good to go.
How do you feel about their defensive line overall? We were talking about Rousseau yesterday, and Mike referenced his PFF grade, which is quite good. I saw another ranking. I don't know what the metric was. It was like overall grades for defensive linemen, a different grading, a different site, and he's like 73rd or something. I feel like when I see defensive ends wreaking havoc. I feel like it's Bosa, but that might just be because he's the new guy. I feel like Rousseau's been kind of quiet this year. How would you assess him this season so far?
Yeah, I would agree. Quiet statistically, impactful plays. We've seen some more from him in the past than what we've seen this year. It's so funny bringing that up. Did you guys see what Steve Spagnuolo said about PFF grades last week? Did you see that?
Oh, I might have.
I did. I don't remember.
I'm sure it wasn't a glowing.
I know it wasn't complimentary.
No, it was more like what he said was, and this is what I've always said. I agree with Steve Spagnuolo here. He says, look, I mean, like he says, hey, I'm friends with Chris Collinsworth. He does a great job. They have a great team there. He said, it's hard to, he said they grade people, but they don't know their assignments. How do you grade people when you don't know your assignments, right? Like, which is true. Like, you can look at it and go, oh, he did great on this play. Well, how do you know he was or wasn't supposed to do that or something else? I remember one time I'm in the Bills locker room. This is years ago. I asked an offensive lineman about it, and I'm not going to say the names here because I want to protect the innocent, because there was an offensive lineman who said he was mad because a running back on the Bills got like a perfect grade in the game. And he goes, but dude, he totally missed the pass protection. But like, how does PFF know that's his guy? He's like, and it doesn't look like I'm on film, but that was his guy in pass protection, not my guy. And those things happen. So anyway, the point is, I think that you take them for what they're worth. And there are some things, and by the way, Spagnuolo did say that they are useful in some ways, right? I mean, there are some things about them that you could take away as a general concept. That being said, I'm not as much on that part of it. From what I've seen, though, is, to me, this is a classic case of he kind of is just doing a lot of things he's supposed to do, but he's not making the impactful play like you need him to make, right? That's where I fall right now on Greg Rousseau, which is, no, he's not bad. He's not making plays that you go, oh, my God, I can't believe he missed that. He did something wrong.
Right.
But I need more impact from him. It's kind of like what we had from Tremaine Edmonds for years, right? Tremaine Edmonds was the master of just doing his job but never making really an impactful play. And Greg Rousseau has made those plays. I need him to make more than what he's made this year, though, and I think that's where this comes from.
I guess I'll just say to this, the truth is, as usual, in the middle. Like, you're not going to know everything about the assignment. I'm thinking of a former Bills offensive lineman who complained to me about PFF grades. Maybe it's the same guy. I don't know. But, like, there's no way to know everything. I think with maybe, though, most positions on the field, you can get it pretty close. Like, Rousseau's assignments are going to be self-evident almost always. You're going to know what he's meant to do on a particular play. Does he beat his man? Does he stay home? Like, whatever it is they want from him, you're going to be able to tell. I think in the secondary, you can always tell. I think skill position players, maybe not blocking, but otherwise, you can tell. If the, I don't need to be specific, like receivers on running plays, right. Are they successful?
One thing that happens sometimes is, and maybe PFF accounts for this or whoever can grade, it doesn't have to be them. I think one thing that does happen, like in the secondary, you say, Mike, a lot of times fans will watch a game, the guy scores on you or has a long pass. You're like, I can't look at that. This guy got beat because he's the closest defender, when in reality it wasn't even his guy, right? Like, he was just close because he was doing something else, which was his job. So it is always tough, right? There's a lot of intricacies. You're right. I think when it comes down to watching a one-on-one battle, hey, did you get blocked there or did you beat your guy? Setting the edge or going and getting a sack, right? I mean, like, a lot of those things you can gain. And I think the overall point here, though, is on Greg Rousseau, what I said, which is, I think he needs to be a little more impactful than what he's been so far. They paid him $80 million, $20 million a year. That's not the end-all, be-all. That's not why I'm saying because of the contract. I just think he's a guy they rely on to do a lot of those things, and it hasn't been impactful yet this year, but it doesn't mean that he hasn't done his job well.
Yeah, I would think I think the Bills were probably hoping that adding Bosa to the other side would benefit Rousseau. And maybe that'll still come. We'll see. What did he have? 8 sacks last year, but I think 3 of them were in the opener against Arizona. So, you look at the total, go 8. Okay, that's good. It's not great. It's good. And they gave him a good contract, not a great contract, right? I mean, $20 million for an edge rusher is mid-market almost, right? It's like the Josh Palmer contract at receiver. I think it's middle class almost because the elite guys are 40 to 50 now. But I don't know how much we should be expecting when you think of it that way. Like, what did he do for you last year? 5 sacks after the opener is, that's AJ Epinesa.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the reaction from fans would be, "Oh my God, you're paying this guy so much money, and we'll just move on from him or get somebody else." And I always want to point out, like, most teams have guys that are he's better than, right? Like, he's still a good player. Greg Rousseau's a good player. It doesn't mean that, and yet we want more impactful stuff, and you want to see some of those numbers. But you got a handful of guys in the league who are great at what they do, and Trey Hendrickson and Micah Parsons and, T.J. Watt and those guys, even Joey Bosa, 4 forced fumbles this year. Like, it's great at what they do. Most teams don't have a guy like that. They have guys like Greg Rousseau or even less, where they're waiting. They need guys that come off the edge and be impactful players. So, you can look at it from two different prisms, which is what are you comparing him to? What you need him, the Bills, to have, and that's what I do. Or are you comparing him to all these other players around the league? Because if that's the case, he's actually a pretty darn good player, to be quite honest with you. Maybe you feel he hasn't justified the number they gave him, but he's still a good player, and I do think they need a little bit more from him. I also do think that Ed Oliver not being available has impacted everybody on that defensive line. I just think that this is a guy that a team has to know. Maybe not he's the guy you're accounting for in every single play, but we saw in that Ravens game he can be an impactful player, and that can help everybody.
One more thing that grades have me thinking of is when we talked about Stephon Gilmore, and fans would complain that he doesn't make enough plays. Well, they never throw at him. So, maybe he's got his guy locked down, and we should just give him credit for that. Sal Capaccio on the West Her hotline. How is this game for you in general? Is it a nervous game in terms of the Bills, or maybe quite the opposite, given whatever you think of the Patriots here? How do you see it?
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth on this, Mike. I've thought about this a lot because I keep thinking, oh, boy, it's the Patriots, and they got Mike Vrabel, and they got a nice young quarterback, and they're kind of up and coming, and they're coming for the Bills here. And then I look back, I look at their game. They lost to the Raiders at home. They lose to the Steelers, 5 turnovers, and thinking they don't have the talent the Bills have. Like, the Bills are just more talented from top to bottom, and the key position. The Bills have the league MVP. They have a nice young quarterback, but he's nowhere close to really Josh's level, right? I mean, the receivers are kind of like the Bills, which is they have a bunch of guys that are kind of considered number 2s or 1Bs or whatever you want to call them here. They have one guy they like to go to is Stephon Diggs, and he's 31 years old, and he's still very good as a route runner, but he's not a true, number 1 type of receiver, and then it's a bunch of tight ends. That being said, they've had a leaky pass defense. So I keep getting to a lot of things where, man, the Bills are better than this team. They should go out and just take care of business against them, to be quite honest. But I do think it is the Patriots. It's Mike Vrabel. It's that logo, right? That logo, that helmet. It doesn't matter what has happened the last few years. There's a lot of scar tissue that gets you to, I don't know. It kind of makes me nervous still.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I don't love the weapons that the Patriots have, but I am pretty bullish on the quarterback. I like May a lot. He might be 3rd in the league in EPA per dropback, behind Allen and someone else's first. I
wanted to say this earlier. I wonder if it's
Love.
Darnold.
It's
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love is the other guy. I remember Jeremy had it this morning. It's in that. I think it's Love first, Allen second, May 3rd.
Okay.
Anyway. So I'm wondering about their pass defense. I feel like they haven't been really tested. Miami converted 3rd downs in the game, and I guess that's a part of it. But really, New Orleans didn't even really try to do much. So, I guess you could credit the Bills for shutting it down or not giving them looks, I guess. The Jets were inept, and Baltimore just ran however they wanted. So I'm curious to see, whatever state Diggs is in, the tight ends really matter, running backs out of the backfield. I feel like May has done a good job. That stat is, I think, to be respected.
Oh, I don't disagree at all. I think that he's also very high in completion percentage. He might even lead the league in the minimum qualifiers, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure about that. Chris Brown said he's number 1 in 3rd down efficiency for a quarterback. There's a lot of things to really like. He's mobile. He's athletic. He's smart. He's got an arm. He checks all the boxes, right? And he's got Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator. So I think all of those things are in his favor. What I do look at, though, sometimes is, or in this case, too, is they're not pushing the ball downfield. It's a lot of stuff underneath. It's a lot of tight end work. The running backs are involved. The Bills have seen this movie before with the New Orleans Saints. They saw it with the Miami Dolphins, who they could get downfield a little bit, but, they wanted to use their running backs. We saw that with Achane. They certainly saw it, with the Jets trying to do the same thing a little bit with a mobile quarterback and, trying to move the ball down the field like that. So I think the Bills, at least in this case, they'll be ready for that. They'll be prepared for that. And then, of course, the other similarity is a mobile quarterback, but they've been hurt by that. Even Tua got loose a little bit in scrambles, right? You wouldn't think that. But, man, last week it was Spencer Rattler, and you guys know I did the stat last week. 11 scrambles by quarterbacks against the Bills this year for 126 yards. It's over 11 yards a carry on a scramble. 7 of the 11 have resulted in first down. Sometimes it's just luck of the draw, nothing you can do. The guy just makes a play, whatever. But you've got to be able to be a little bit better when that quarterback starts moving around in the pocket, because some of these guys are trying to take advantage of it, and I fully expect Drake May to try and take advantage of that.
Do you have an offensive skill position matchup that you like against New England? Is there any reason to sort of think there's one player here that stands out as the go-to guy?
I don't know if it's a player, but I do think the Bills can throw on this team past the second level. I know Gonzalez is a terrific player, and they were without him, but they do not have good numbers right now in their secondary. There's a lot of stuff saying that the Patriots have not been able to hold teams down throwing the ball on them, and especially down the field a little bit. So I wonder if that's Keon Coleman. I don't know who that would be. Is that Elijah Moore? Is that Khalil Shakir? It could be anybody. It could be Dalton Kincaid. But I think, Mike, just that in general, now they're very good against the run. Milton Williams did practice today for them, by the way. He's limited. He went from limited to non-participant to limited. He's questionable for the game. He's a really, really good player, and he really kind of stirs a lot of what happens up front with them. They've allowed less than 78 yards a game rushing. We know the Bills want to run, but maybe the key here is unlocking the passing game downfield a little bit, loosen them up a little bit, and then you can do some things in the run game. But that's the matchup I like, Mike. I don't know if it's a specific player. The matchup I like is to push the ball downfield a little bit.
Okay.
I know this is not really your area, Sal, but do you know at all what else is attached to these rivalry uniforms? Like, is the field going to be different in any way, shape, or form for this game on Sunday night?
I don't know. It's a good question. It's not my area, but I would say I'm wondering too. But I know that other teams have done it.
Right.
I think what's different is the teams we've seen them do it play on grass fields with paint. The Bills now, they could roll out different turf, but I haven't seen anything like that.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know if that's going to be the case. I don't. Maybe it's the last year of the stadium. I guess they could. Maybe next year remember they're doing this for 3 years. I learned that today. I didn't realize that.
Okay.
They're doing these rivalry jerseys for 3 years. So maybe next year you get something a little different on a painted grass field, whereas this year it wouldn't be like that. No, nothing other than they want fans to wear white. Mm-hmm. White out, right? The team is going to be wearing all white. The uniforms, the helmets, the jerseys, I do think that you don't get the full appreciation unless you see them up close. There's so many little nuances that go into these uniforms and different things about the logo, the stitching, whatever it is, anything like that you got to kind of see a little bit more of. And then, they're very involved with just the kind of the whole rivalry concept. Bennett Jamestown tonight is the game that's being highlighted, for part of the rivalry series. Fred Jackson is there tonight. He's part of the homecoming parade, I believe.
Awesome.
So I think it's more of an offshoot of what's happening in the community and around the area as much as it is inside the stadium.
Well, I got to give him this much. At least the jersey is described as white, and it actually looks white. Unlike the Miami jerseys that were some sort of blue aquatic something or other, and they just look black.
Deep water.
Which just made me really mad. Yeah. Like, you're I'm watching this, I'm looking at it, it's black, but you're telling me it's blue. Why didn't you just make it blue? If you wanted blue, make it blue.
Well, I did a podcast today with Fitzy and Meg Ortolini over in WEEI today, and they're with it. By the way, guys, ours is It's Always Game Day in Buffalo. There's one It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. Theirs is called the Six Rings, by the way, which makes me throw open my mouth, right?
Yeah.
But that's what it is. Anyway, they're really good people, and one of the things they said was, "What's up with the fact that it's the cold front and winter coming, and it's going to be 80 degrees?" And I'm like, well, we're at the whim of the NFL schedule. The only choices were Miami on a Thursday in September or the New England Patriots on a Sunday night in October, because once the schedule came out, the Bills were already going to wear their red helmets on that last game, and that happened to be the Jets. So you really had your limited opportunities. If the Bills were playing December against one of these teams, it would have happened. But you know what? I don't care. I think it's going to look sweet underneath the lights. That'll look really cool.
So do I. I think I heard what you said about the end zones, too, that next year, but not Sunday.
Okay.
And Jeremy retweeted a comment on Twitter that the flags have all been replaced. with
Right, I
these
saw
white
that.
flags.
Yeah. All right, that's something. Yeah. All right.
White flags, I don't know.
Ooh.
Bad sign. All right, Sal, enjoy the game. Thanks for your time.
You got it, guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather.
You too, man, and good for you on the Yankees. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to avoid the topic. You got us. That's how it goes sometimes. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. He'd hung up by then. He didn't. I got to text him now because I feel bad.
I don't think you do.
Yeah, I don't know. I led with the Yankees the other day. I mean, anyway. Sal's appearance with us brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, is the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
The Friday Drive at 5 with Sal, brought to you by Northtown Hyundai, Western New York's premier Hyundai dealership. Shop online at northtownhyundai.com. By Northwest Bank for what's next. Get started at northwest.com. And by Excelsior Orthopedics.